Blackhawks versus Avalanche. CHGO versus DNVR. Artyom Levshunov debut. It's the biggest game of the season. No, it's not. But we're going to preview it anyway on the CHGO Blackhawks Pregame Show. Welcome into the CHGO Blackhawks Pregame Show. Hope you're having a nice Monday on this best day of the year. Gorgeous. In Chicago. Can we move this outside real quick?
I wish.
Please, let's do that. Man, it's amazing out.
We need more extension cords.
All in favor of that. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, thanks for being with us. If you're watching on your porch, if you're poolside somewhere, maybe you didn't close it for the winter.
Hey.
Just sitting next to a big pool of algae. It's okay. It's 70 degrees in Chicago.
That's true.
The Hawks are in Colorado, and Artyom Levshunov's NHL career is about to begin. It's an exciting night. Do us a favor. Hit that like button for us. Make sure you are subscribed to our YouTube page as well. We're going to do what we always do, starting the show by hearing from Anders Sorensen, and talks about the decision in starting Levshunov's career against a team like Colorado.
Dickinson's back in. He'll go with Bedsy there. And Spencer's in net. And the lines were like they were on the ice. So, did you see him, or do you want me to go through him?
If you want to go through him, that'd be great.
Well, Dickie goes with Bedsy and Docker, and then Donald's line stays the same. Frankie goes back in the middle with Slags and Fliggy. Fliggy is on the right. And then we got Joey with Bert and Reichel.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a heck of a first game to throw Levshunov against the Avalanche. So why is that the plan here? You just want to see what the best looks like?
Yeah, let's get after it, right? This is the NHL, right? You want to be in NHL, you're going to play the best.
You could have eased him into it, the practice here and a morning skate and have him go against San Jose, but you guys wanted to see what he can do against that team?
Absolutely, yeah.
What have your conversations been with him like?
Just play his game, trust his instincts, you know, and as we go along here, we'll give him, you don't want to give him too much information, right? But just play your game, and then we'll adjust as we go here.
Putting him with like a comfortable veteran in Martinez,
yeah.
Kind of give him a steadying hand.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Dickinson obviously hasn't played in a while. I mean, he's got to be just chomping at the bit to get back in.
Yeah, he's felt good for the last week here. Has been close and had some real good practices and some skates, and yeah, he looked good today.
So he'll have Bedard on the wing then?
No, Dickie will be on the wing.
Okay.
Yeah.
That helps out with these old faceoffs too, on the righty and lefty.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's part of our thought process. And it's the same with Frankie and Fliggy there, lefty, righty, helps on draws. Whoever's taking it stays low. Whoever arrives first down low plays center.
You've kind of harped on it for good reason, just shift lengths. This place maybe more than any other, the importance of making sure you're a little tidy in that area.
Absolutely. That, and leave the next line in a good spot, right? Don't overextend. So making sure you get off at the right time and leave the next line in a good situation.
For Kaiser, it seems like he was talking about how he's focusing on moving his feet quickly when he gets the puck, and I mean that's been really noticeable. Yeah. It's not like he just figured out how to skate; like he's always been a good skater. What's changed for him, or what's allowing him to have success with this?
Well, I mean, last year him and I had those conversations a lot in Rockford as well, and that's really when he's at his best, right? That's his super strength, so let's use it as much as possible here. And I think he's, it takes time. He's a young defenseman, second year in the league, and, you have your ups and downs, and you get called up, you get sent down, and then I think now he's starting to realize, okay, this is my super strength, so I'm going to play to my super strength. So those are, and when you start realizing that as a young player, that's important.
What's the key to slowing down McKinnon with that speed? Do you give him space? If you give him space, and it's just that could be a recipe for disaster too.
Yeah, stay on top of him as much as you can, right? I think a lot of stuff runs through him, but they got some other threats there on that line, right? And then even with McCarr coming late or carrying it himself, right? So staying on top is the biggest thing.
There's Anders Sorensen, that courtesy of our friends at the Chicago Blackhawks. So a lot of stuff in there. Just kind of throwing Levshunov to the wolves, saying, hey, you're in the NHL. We can't protect you forever, so we're going to start you against the fastest team in the league, and it's going to be a great test for him.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely a trial by fire. But I don't think the Hawks would throw him into a situation in which they didn't think that he'd be able to handle it. I think that that's just setting him up to fail, which you don't want to do. You want your guys to be able to thrive, especially in their first taste in the NHL. Now, it's still going to be a tough test, but as Anders says there, like, you want to see how you match up right away against some of the best players out there, one of the best teams. It's a measuring stick. So see where you're at, and then likely he'll play again against San Jose, and that'll feel different.
And he mentioned, too, having him paired with Alec Martinez, smart, a guy who's going to more often than not make the right play, tons of experience. So I like that. Let's take a look at the lines here, because there is some stuff to discuss about those as well. Your top line is Bedard centering Doc and Dickinson, Donato with Teravainen and Mikheyev, Nazar with Slaggert and Foligno, and Veleno with Bertuzzi and Reichel. D pairs are Vlasic, Kaiser, Del Mastro, Murphy, Martinez, and Levshunov with Spencer Knight in goal. And I saw a lot of people's eyebrows went up when they saw Dickinson on the wing with Bedard. But if you heard Sorensen right there sort of say, just like with the Nazar Foligno thing, they're interchangeable. Mm-hmm. They can switch depending on which side they're on to take the more favorable face-off, and whoever's in first takes over center duties. It might seem a little confusing, but I think these guys have been playing hockey their whole lives, and they know, and they need to communicate very clearly to each other who's got what at what time, but it makes a little bit of sense there. I don't love putting Nazar on basically a checking line. We'll see how long this lasts. I think before long, Nazar and Dickinson are going to flip.
This probably, I mean, yeah, we'll see if that lasts an entire game. This probably is matchup based because it seems like, you know, you could have McKinnon against Bedard all night, and that's not a matchup that you find desirable for Connor defensively at this point. So you throw Jason Dickinson out there and give him a little bit of help defensively that way. If it's more than that, if it's more than just this matchup, like if this sticks through this game and into the next game, I'm going to be a little upset because you get a line with Colton Dach, Connor Bedard, and Frank Nazar. Bedard starts producing again. Nazar has been playing really well just this entire season, but especially with that trio. And you had that trio go a few games ago. Then you split them up, put Landon Slaggert up there, and then halfway through that game, Colton Dach was back on that line. Like, it was clicking. It's the young guys getting that chemistry together. Nazar and Dach have played together in Rockford this year. You bring in Bedard, he gets out of a scoring slump. It just feels like you get some momentum rolling with some young guys and your best player, and then you split it up again. And then with Nazar going down, like, I like Landon Slaggert, I like Nick Foligno. They're not offensive guys. Like, Slaggert's fast and relentless in the forecheck. That's great. Nazar's fast, but he's got, you know, more playmaking ability. He's just got more offensive skills that I think he can maybe be the offensive threat on that line. But I don't feel like skills wise, Foligno and Slaggert are going to be the guys to kind of like keep up with him. Yeah. So you kind of put him in an odd spot. Like, I don't know. It just feels like if you had Dickinson on that third line center spot, there's your checking defensive third line, and then you allow Doc with Nazar and Bedard to kind of just keep flowing. I don't know. It's getting frustrating. It's beyond frustrating at this point now with the line changing that Bedard has experienced, but the entire team has experienced this year, and it's been both guys at the head of the table with Richardson and Sorensen.
It does feel like a one-game thing here because this is a team, and especially with Colorado being the home team, having the last change, they can wait to see who the Hawks put out there, and they can adjust accordingly. Right. So you're putting you have a defensively responsible forward on every line this way. You've got Dickinson, obviously the second line, they're all defensively responsible. Foligno, and I would say Veleno is pretty defensively responsible on that fourth line. So I think this could be just to protect for one game, but you're right. If it goes beyond this, or if it's another combination for Bedard against San Jose the next game, then you worry about it. But when you look at the opponent, when you look at the situation, I could see why he wants to have some sort of defensive option on all 4 lines just to prevent a runaway. Because, I mean, let's be honest. The Hawks have been getting better results, but when the smoke clears at the end of the night and you really break down the numbers, they are still getting caved in possession-wise. They're still getting significantly out shooting chance. They're usually getting significantly outshot. And Spencer Knight's been great, and Soderblom's been great lately too, and they've been keeping the Hawks in games they don't have business being in. This is a game where it could certainly get out of hand quick, considering how much Colorado just loaded up at the deadline. They looked great in their first game out of the deadline. So this is going to be a challenge. I don't think anyone expects the Hawks to win this game.
No.
But if they can keep it close and remain competitive, I think that is, overall, that's a win.
Yeah, I mean,
not in the standings, but
a
moral victory.
You want to be able to at least try and stick with this Avs team for a little bit. Spencer Knight has been the equalizer for this Hawks team in the 2 games that he started. So if he continues that, I mean, it's a lot to put on him, but that's the reason that he was brought in. I think that was the expectation, is that he could come in and be that difference maker for this team, not only recently, being brought in the trade, but also down the line and be that number 1 starter for the future. But you don't want to put that all on him, on his shoulders. So hopefully, if this is a matchup lineup, then that's fine. I'm beyond Connor Bedard having 40 different combinations this season. I think it's up to 40. You have to check Greg's chart there, but having that many different combinations at this point in the season, like going into next year, I would love for there to be some continuity. And I don't know if that's fully dictated by the coach or by the players or whatnot. You could say like you roll with different guys at different times, sure, but I would love to be able to go in and know, for the players, just to know and expect who you're going to play with and get that familiarity going throughout the season, because the constant changing, it can't be easy to roll with. And it's been something all season.
You can't learn a line mate's instincts without playing with the same line mate.
Right.
It's very simple. All right, we're going to hear from Artyom Levshunov next, and we are going to get into the discussion about was this a good time to bring him up or not. But we want to tell you about our massive Die Hard sale going on right now to celebrate the start of NFL free agency. And boy, the Bears got off to a hell of a start in NFL free agency. Now through Friday, $36 for an annual pass as in CHGO Die Hard. So if you've been waiting, this is the cheapest it has ever been. The shirts themselves, without the discount, are $33. So you're basically just getting a free membership with the purchase of a shirt. So jump on that. Take advantage of it. Go to allchgo.com. Join us today. You don't only get the free t-shirt, you get access to all of our great written content, Rebuild Report, Blackhawks beat from all the beats in all the cities, or all the teams, Bears, Cubs, Sox, everything. You get 20% off all of our events, takeovers, watch parties, everything. If we're selling a ticket to it, you get 20% off. Obviously, this deal, $36 for the year, pays for itself basically the second you sign up for it. So take advantage. Go to allchgo.com/intro. That's allchgo.com/intro to take advantage of that $36 for the year deal. We would love to have you as part of what we do here at CHGO.
Absolutely. Jump on it. Hop on the ride, as they say.
Right? Let's do it. All right, let's hear from the man of the hour, Artyom Levshunov, making his NHL debut tonight. Seems, in a word, excited.
I was waiting for this long time. I'm so happy, so excited. Can't wait to start playing.
It's a heck of a challenge going up against Colorado.
Of course, they're a really good team. They have a lot of good players, but we have to play better, and we have a good team too. To play good.
Nathan McKinnon coming down at you.
Oh yeah, he's such a good player. Yeah, he's so fast. Yeah. We should beat him tonight.
Nathan was saying he's like, you're going to just fire away the first time the puck is just stick. You're putting it on. Do you feel you're to be able to just play your game?
Yeah, we'll try to play my style, my game, and we'll try to help the team win. Yeah.
Do you have any family or friends coming?
Probably not. They were watching TV. Yeah, back home.
Do you expect to be nervous at all?
I'm not. I feel good. I'm not really. Just
Not.
why? It's hockey. It's a hockey game. I gotta go and do my job, play hard, work hard, and to try, to help the team win. That's it. Play for win.
What has Anders told you? What he expects out of you?
Yeah,
what does he want from you?
Yeah, they want me to play hard, to play smart, fast, and just play good hockey.
Do you dream of this moment?
Of course, I was dreaming, about this, like all my hockey life, and for sure, it's unbelievable, to make a debut tonight, and that's incredible.
He is jazzed. He's really excited to play. You can tell.
I can see it on his face.
And I like his attitude too of like, yep, they're good, but we just got to be better. I got to play my game. And I saw some people in the chat. I know Lebowski 5 was among them. Like, maybe this isn't the smartest move because if he has a terrible game, it could set his development back. I don't think one bad game against Colorado is going to ruin the development of Artyom Levshunov. And I do think if the Hawks see him in a situation that he can't handle, if he struggles tonight, struggles against San Jose, maybe one more game, they say, all right, you got your look. We're going to send you back down. No big deal. I don't know. I'm not worried about ruining it. I think when you do what you did with Henry Jokiharju, where, all right, we drafted you. You're in the lineup 82 games.
Adam Boquist
again. Also, yes, like that's a different thing. Those guys had no time in Rockford to develop. Levshunov's been playing well in Rockford. So give him a look. And if it doesn't work, they can send him right back. And he doesn't seem like a kid who is mentally fragile by any.
No, he seems pretty confident in himself, and he's gone up a level of play every year for the last 4 years, and add this to another level up in his development path. But yeah, I mean, with Jokiharju and Boquist and guys like that, like it felt like they were forced into the lineup and they were begrudgingly spending time in Rockford rather than looking at Rockford as actually like a development stage. And with Levshunov and with basically since the regime change in Chicago, Rockford's been looked at as like, oh, this is where we need to like develop these young guys. It's not a stashing place for guys who just couldn't cut it. Like, you need to work on your development. And we've seen success stories from Rockford, and I think Levshunov from the beginning of this season to now has been a completely different player. He's really grown in his game, and Scott Powers had a really good article today about his development path and where the Hawks see him, and like I said, like they wouldn't throw him into this game if they didn't think he'd be ready to go for it. So he's an offensively talented guy. I think he was Ben Pope said he was running the second unit on the power play. Like they're going to give him opportunities to tap into those natural instincts and natural gifts that he has, and I think that's a good way to ease him into the NHL. Like it's against Colorado, but let him play to his strengths, I think is a good path.
Yeah, absolutely. I just I don't see a big risk here. I give the kid a sniff. He came up and had some practices during the AHL All-Star break and looked pretty good at practices, looked the part. And I think there are certain guys where they elevate their game when they're up against better competition. And it's usually the guys with a little more skill. I always think of how like Teuvo Teravainen never put up big numbers in Rockford. And there was always a concern, like, why isn't he just completely lighting this league up? Everything he's expected to be, you'd think he'd have 100 points or whatever it would be. And guys on the team with him would say, yeah, I'm never ready for his passes because I've never played with a guy with this kind of skill before. And I just like, oh God, there's the puck. Sometimes when guys go up a level, the game comes with them, if that makes any sort of sense. And I'm not ready to say, I haven't seen Levshunov play yet, so I'm not ready to say that. But I'm not worried about a handful of games to give him a look, to give him a little reward. And even if he finishes the season here, fine. I don't think anything can happen between now and the middle of April that's going to derail his development.
Yeah, I think this
sort of an injury.
I don't think this is like a what do we got? 19 more games left.
Yeah,
I don't think this is a 19-game stint for him. I think this will be a handful of games, and then they'll send him back to Rockford because Ice Hogs are trying to lock up a playoff spot, and they're gonna they had Del Mastro and Doc were put on the waivers ahead of the trade deadline, so they could be eligible to play late in the season and into the playoffs. So they're they're definitely going to focus on the Ice Hogs, making sure that they get that opportunity to play in the postseason. So I wouldn't imagine that they're going to keep Levshunov up here the rest of the regular season. Like, he'll go back at some point. So I think you give him a taste of the NHL. You kind of just see where he's at. I mean, I don't think there's any harm in gauging where he is, especially given the development that we've seen from him in Rockford, and it's been on and off the ice. I think there's definitely a lot of being a pro is a lot different than being a student athlete at Michigan State. It's a lot different than being in North America for the first time, living in Green Bay, Wisconsin, and playing in the USHL. Like, there's just a lot of different experiences that have been thrown at Levshunov in the last few years, and this will be another one. And I think he's got one of the best attitudes I think I've seen from a young guy who's gone through a lot in a early stages of his career. So I don't think this is going to phase him too much. And I think, if he comes out and has a rough game, you move on to the next one. If it's a rough one again, then maybe he goes back to Rockford and you say, all right, well, there was your taste. Now we're going to send you back, and what you need to work on at the next level.
Giving guys a sniff of what it's like too. I think you get that taste of the NHL level. He even talked about it after his first practice, saying, wow, I couldn't believe the difference in speed. Even from a Rockford game to an NHL practice was such a big jump. And now he gets to see, okay, this is what it takes to be in the NHL. I know what I need to do in the offseason to get to that level, or at least to get closer to that level. I don't know. I'm not worried about it at all. I'm really not. And, there's some conversation about Kevin Korchinski in the chat. We should probably get to that part of it too, because I think we all thought the next defenseman to get called up would be Korchinski. You have to kind of wonder how he's feeling as he got passed over again for a recall.
Yeah, I mean, he was up here at one point this year. I mean, they only have so many recalls that they can do, and I think they've already used 3 of them now. This would be because even though they paper transactioned Doc and Del Mastro, they technically had to bring them back up once the trade deadline was over. So that's 2 of the 4 that you're able to use. This is 3 of 4. So who knows what they'll do with that, with the 4th one? Maybe it is Korchinski coming back up. Maybe it's Nolan Allen.
When he did say none of the college guy, like if it was Renzel or whatever, those don't.
They don't count. College. Yeah. And those guys, I would imagine, depending on when their season ends, I'd imagine they'd go to Chicago and then Rockford, rather than Rockford up to Chicago and back. So I mean, who knows? We'll like Slaggert and Nazar at the end of last year just went to Chicago.
Right, directly.
So those guys, they might do the same thing. But, yeah, I mean, Korchinski, again, like he's a guy that's benefiting from being in Rockford. In the time he was up here, it was, he did pretty well in those 6 games. I was actually surprised he didn't stick around a little bit longer. But, again, there's importance to ironing out details at the AHL level before you get back to an opportunity to be a long-term NHL defenseman. And also, too, Rockford, again, like I said, Rockford needs to have their guys down there to help them, at this time of year to push into the postseason. And this was just, a good opportunity for Levshunov. It doesn't take anything away from Korchinski. And again, like a lot of these guys that we're talking about aren't even 21.
Right.
Like there's still lots of development and lots of hockey ahead of them before they, quote unquote, need to be NHL regulars.
Yeah, and you can't make a call on any of them. There's conversation that Korchinski's bad. There's conversation that Louis Crevier is going to be a staple on this team. We don't know the answer to any of those things yet.
Right.
We don't. And, maybe we really have liked Nolan Allen this year. When you really look at Nolan Allen's numbers, they're really bad. And I know he was with TJ Brody a lot this year, and that's part of it. But you don't know if Nolan Allen's an everyday NHL defenseman. You don't know. That's why you got to give these guys looks and see what you have, and it's too early to make a call on really anyone.
Mm-hmm.
Even Nazar, it's probably too early to make a call on what level of player he'll be.
Yeah.
So you just have to take time. There's so many young guys on this team, and I wrote about it when I wrote the story for CHGO yesterday. I listed all the guys who are 23 or younger on this team, and I'm going to pull it up.
There's
real
like
quick.
11 of them now.
Yeah, so it's Bedard and Levshunov are 19. Doc is 21. I'm sorry, Nazar is 21. Doc, Del Mastro, Kaiser, Reichel, Slaggert are all 22. Crevier, Knight, and Vlasic are all 23.
It's 11.
And we think about Lucas Reichel as this old guy who's been around forever. He's 22.
It just seems like it's been forever.
Right. He's been on the roster for a long time.
It's because his NHL time has been these last 3 seasons, which have just taken an eternity.
Yeah, and his story is not written either. Like none of the guys I listed, even Vlasic. We don't know how much more there is to Vlasic. I don't think he's going to get worse, but we don't know how much better he will get.
Yeah, I hope so.
But it seems like there's room for growth there. It's just we can't decide anything here. So I think just enjoy the ride for now. The NHL season is lost. They're not going to make the playoffs, so give guys chances, see how they look, see what they need to work on, and then in a couple of years we'll be able to make calls on some of these guys, and it's just not right now.
Yeah, the Hall of Fame careers of Duncan Keith and number retirement worthy career of Brent Seabrook. If you had set at 21 and 22 for those guys, these are the players you're going to be. You'd be like, really? I don't see it yet.
Yeah, no.
It took those guys time, and that's what the Blackhawks have right now is time for these young guys.
No one who watched young Duncan Keith thought potential best defenseman in franchise history.
Right.
No one had that vision when they watched the first few years of Duncan Keith. I promise you that. It was not even close. Mm-hmm. All right, game's about to start. We got a few minutes to go. One more reminder about the Die Hard special. AllCHGO.com/intro is the way to take advantage of that. Again, $36 for the year. Access to all the great stuff we do. Aside from Levshunov, aside from the lines, what are you looking for in this one?
I think the big thing for me is Connor Bedard. Like, I think he's the focal point every game basically, but he went through that slump. He's kind of gotten out of it here with a few points in a few games. Like, how does he finish out the season? And all eyes are on him, but this is another big test. You have some help with Jason Dickinson defensively. Like, does that open up his game offensively if he can get some opportunities here? Like, how does he finish out this season? Because I'd say for the most part there's been some underwhelming moments from him, but it's a growing season. So I'm looking at how in a game like this against this kind of competition, how he answers it in the final stretch of the year.
It's a good one. Me too. Also, Spencer Knight. He's been great in his 2 starters, no question about it. I want to see if that can be the expectation from him every night, or if every goalie's going to have a down night, but I think he has been so spectacular, and I wonder what part of that is a little bit of adrenaline kind of carrying him. This is going to be the biggest test he's faced as a Blackhawks goalie so far, especially on the road with the youngest defensive core they've put out there all year. It's going to be an adventure for Spencer Knight. So rooting for him. Hope he's awesome again. And if he is, they certainly have a chance.
Got a chance.
Yeah, He's been so good. By the way, if you missed it, I do want to shout out our buddy Mark Lazarus, who scored an exclusive interview with Jonathan Taves, talking about his attempted comeback. And I saw Dan Carcillo on Instagram posted a video of Taves and his son skating around, and Taves looks good, looks lean.
Carcillo's son.
Yeah, his son. So check that out. But yeah, definitely read Mark's thing. It's a great scoop from him. It's really good. I think it's pretty clear that we all know the Hawks probably don't want him back. And I think he's pretty ready to close the book on that chapter too, kind of understands it.
He says so in the piece.
Yeah, not in an angry way. I think he just kind of sees like that time is coming gone. I don't want to have to go back and relive those Stanley Cup days, and it's not time for that. So really good stuff. Check that out between periods, and we'll talk to you in the postgame show. Make sure you're there. We'll talk to you then on the CHGO Blackhawks podcast.
We all silly like the mayor.